Hello everybody and welcome to Rock Dudes 21, a new international episode, and this time the guest is the Swedish frontman of the punk rock band Backyard Babies. His name is Nicke Borg. But first of all we will talk a little about our sponsor, and this time it is Marshall Eyewear. Marshall Eyewear is a manufacturer of sunglasses. They want to take the great rock and roll trademark Marshall to the next level. The sunglass models is the most perfect ones to create the outlook of the real rock star. Ryan Roxy, that is playing guitar together with Alice Cooper, has his own signature model. Check out all the information at marshalleyewear.com. Rock Dude's main sponsor is J-Leaf IT Media. J-Leaf has highly skilled senior IT consultants within the Microsoft infrastructure and collaboration areas. In the area of media, J-Leaf runs both this podcast and one of Sweden's most personal rock magazine called Rockklassiker. It's an online magazine that publishes both traditional things like concert reviews, interviews and different kinds of reportage. But it is all done within a great personal way. You can follow them at rockbladet.se and through social media like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Spotify. Search for Rockbladet. Nicke Borg is a real nice and down-to-earth guy. He was grown up in a small town called Nässjö. His dream as a young kid was to become a real rock star. Together with the rest of the band, it took a lot of effort to make that dream come true. During this episode, you can listen to his true rockstar lifestyle stories. It's no filter, it's all about sex, drugs and rock and roll. You can hear it all on Rock Dudes 21. In the end of this episode, we will present the music top list. Together with Nicke Borg, we will present 15 songs. You will find a list on our Spotify profile and homepage, rockdudes.se. Enough talking from my side. Let's start the interview with Nicke Borg. Rock Dudes! Hello and welcome to Rock Dudes 21. And today we are gonna interview a Swedish rock guy called Nicke Borg. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hello, which band?
Backyard Babies, I think.
Of course.
Yeah. And his solo project.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you made it finally.
Yes, it's been a busy last year. It's always busy, but last year was pretty crazy.
Intense.
And I really wanted to come here and do this, and there was a little gap this Monday. Yes.
Yeah.
You had you had a record label meeting today, but it was cancelled, right?
Yeah, our record company canceled the meeting. we our record company is Gain.
Yeah.
Slash Sony Music, of course, and Gain is based in Gothenburg and Sony's here in Stockholm, and it's obviously seems so hard for Gothenburg people to actually get their asses to Stockholm, you know.
Yeah.
Because of the train, perhaps, it's cold and everything.
I think I never have met the people from the Gain.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, they're awesome, you know, and sometimes I travel there, you know, but now we felt that they should come, and because we are trying to gather a bigger meeting with Sony as well, and they ran into some
hiccups.
Problems.
There we go.
So that is postponed, and but that's good for us.
Yeah.
It's good for us,
Very good.
indeed. So we have like an in-deep interview today with Nicke Borg, so this is going to be sweet and long and intense, like a rock and roll show.
I'm taking my shirt off now and getting ready. Yeah,
This got really warm in here. So, who is Nicke Borg?
Sometimes, you know, these days I kind of wonder that myself. Me and the rest of the guys also born in a very small town called Nässjö, kind of south of Sweden. Like many other small towns in Sweden, looks the same. You know, it's about 20,000. You know, people living there, and you know, you either do sports or you sit on the bench and drink booze.
Yeah.
You know, or you move away. You know, and we did sports for a while, or I did at least, and then we got the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of sports? Football or?
No, I was playing basketball.
Really?
Can you see how long I am?
Yeah.
How tall I am? I mean, no. But when we started to, Drake and Peter and Johan, they already started to play together, and I kind of knew about them, and I was starting to get into hard rock music, and I knew about them, and they had a gig in the school, in the dining hall in school, on some kind of off hour. It was like an early morning hour. So I skipped school and I went to the other school where they, were having this thing, and attended the show. And after that, we got to know each other, and I kind of joined the band.
You were
that's the short story.
Wow.
What that really
you were
happened.
like with last member joining the band, actually.
But when I joined in on bass, and there was this guy called Tobias who was singing, and they were more like a metal band. Everybody was pretty crap on what we're doing. Played simple metal songs, and I kind of added something different. When it comes to songwriting and even singing, and eventually that guy kind of lost interest. And he left, and so there was us four left, and we decided to change the band name and start to focus for real.
What was the band name from the beginning then?
Tyrant.
Really? It's actually another band, but that's like more black metal now.
It is actually. I think it's a Canadian metal band.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Called Tyrant, which is just stupid that we named it that way, or they did.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, apart from that, starting before that, my dad was in the band. He taught me how to play guitar, and I'm born with raised with a little sister and my mom and dad and a dog. In a villa, a big house in that little city. Pretty normal, childhood.
Was it any kind of factory and things that you can work in Nässjö, or what was the main employer?
Nässjö is like it's mostly known for being the train, connection spot when trains passing through in going from north to south or west to east in Sweden. Everybody who went to Hultsfred Festival at one point had to come through Nässjö. I think change train there.
Yeah.
So all of the music fans in Sweden have been to Nässjö once at least. But no, I mean, I worked at an old people's house when I was young because I skipped school. It's kind of Johan, Peter, and Dragan. They went to more like factory kind of education stuff, and I went to study something else. But I lost interest, so I dropped out of school. Actually, I never finished school, and I went to work at an old people's house, and Johan worked at some factory, Dragan worked as some kind of gardener, and Peter, I don't know. So we all did some stuff like that in the beginning, but we were like really, serious with our music, and I'm gonna come to that later. How serious it was.
Yeah. So you started off playing in Nässjö or in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, we were all like really big music fans. We loved hard rock music, and I was totally into, Iron Maiden and bands like that. And then obviously when Guns N' Roses came around in 87, in 88, I mean, it all changed, our lives in a way that they were like, wow, that's exactly what we want to do. They looked outrageous, they sounded fucking awesome, and they were the mix of punk and metal that we were kind of looking for. Because I mean, the whole band is like equally much punk as hard rock as rock and roll, or glam rock. We couldn't really find,
which path
which like genre we were belonging to. So Guns N' Roses was perfect for us, so we kind of dug into that. We found out quite early that Nässjö wasn't the right place
big
for
enough.
us to be. Oh yeah, big enough. So this is what I'm gonna say why we were so serious. We did like something that people still today don't really believe this, but we made a pact or a deal in the rehearsal room. We spent a lot of time in our rehearsal room, in Nässjö, which was really cool. And we said like, okay, I mean, we want to make it. We're going to do this. This city sucks. And we have to break up with our girlfriends. because everybody had girlfriends and lived in apartments and had it pretty,
How old were you guys by then?
Well,
like 15?
No, a little bit old. I mean, you have to back the time. This was like in the summer. This was 93.
Okay.
Yeah. Do your math.
I'm
40 about 20.
Wow.
Everybody had girlfriends, and they had jobs. So we were pretty settled, all of us. I had a car and everything. It was like, and we decided that we're gonna break up with our girlfriends and we're gonna quit our jobs.
Fuck.
I was even, what do you call it? Like when I was employed, for real.
Yeah.
I could have probably worked there for the rest of my life if I wanted to. So I don't know who actually really came up with the idea. I'd like to think it was me. Could have been me, but I'm not really sure. But I remember Peter, the drummer, was going like, I love my girlfriend. Do we really have to break? Can't they come? No. It was like this. No.
This is the family.
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna make it, can't have something that's distracting. So we did that same night. Everybody went home and broke up with their girlfriends, and told the landlords we're moving out, and I started to look for apartments, and by the summer of '94 we actually moved to Stockholm. Singles.
Well, I'm curious. What was the reaction from your girlfriend though? I'm just coming home. Look.
I mean, what I remember. We kind of, you're close with everybody today through Facebook and stuff. But what I remember was that she was really, really sad, of course. But there was some kind of like,
you're gonna do what you're gonna do.
Some kind of like understanding in because we were kind of young, and and eventually my girlfriend, and I think that Peter's girlfriend as well, they also moved to Stockholm, maybe like a half year later, and some of our other friends as well did. So it was just not us four. We actually dragged a few other people with us,
Did you reconnect to them later on in your
career?
I
mean,
you never can't get back to them though.
No.
No.
That was not an option.
But I mean, Sweden was really weird in a way during that time. I mean, you could actually go to Arbetsförmedlingen and I did at least, and say that, hey, what's this stämplingskort? What is this
unemployment center? By the way.
Yeah. And I went in there and I told them I'm quitting my job. I need to get money from you. They're like, are you employed? Yes, but I'm quitting. They're like, but you do that, and I lived on that type of money for many years, And I also managed to, when we finally moved to Stockholm, then in '94, I went to the Sundbyberg unemployment center and managed them to pay us money to practice music in Sundbyberg kommun. That was a great time. So I feel sorry for all the bands these days who can't really do it like that, because if we would have been forced to maybe stay in Nässjö or work, or couldn't quit our jobs like we did in that way, I'm not sure that Back Your Babies would exist,
Was it the same for the members as well, going to the unemployment center and getting your?
We all managed. Yeah, we all managed.
All
to
of
get
you guys.
Wow. Well, I managed to get for all four of us, once we moved to Stockholm. But so that's kind of. I think that's kind of. A lot of people ask about like how come you have so much, great musicians and great songwriters and great bands in Sweden, and I really say that. Because of the the music schools we have, and because also the system was at least like that, it gave a lot of artists and bands opportunities to do stuff that would never ever would have time to do, if they were stuck in something else.
Sure.
Yeah, today actually I think it's a special department and the unemployment center for this kind of work, doing in the theater, movies.
Oh, it is,
yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Imagine if you get forced to grab a job in a pop band.
Yeah. But all of you guys are like self-made, right? Self-taught into musician.
Yeah, I mean, so back again in time, we like when we grew up, we were such music fans, and I think we said to ourselves that why don't we do it ourselves, because this is so cool, we see all the rock bands that we loved, and they had the fucking, the parties, the girls and traveling around the world. We want to do that. We can't do that without having a band. Okay, well, let's form a band, let's like play, and nobody could really play, So we just picked up the instrument. You play the drums, you play the guitar, and you sing and stuff. So I mean, it really sucked in the beginning. But that's like, you can hear everyone from Dave Grohl to me saying that, you gotta suck year after year after year, and eventually there's something happening. When you suck long enough together, you build something, and that stuff, it's hard to explain, it's hard to put a finger on, but I think that that is what's unique with the band. I mean, I think the list is long enough to point out band that you can actually hear that they've been sucking together for many years before they actually, made it.
Yeah. How was the scene in the early 90s? I mean, whilst you were moving to Stockholm, were they even other rock bands? Feels like in the early 90s were like a lot of metal bands in Stockholm during that period of time.
Yeah, I mean, but for us moving to Stockholm, it was like, going to heaven. Big city, the nightclubs, the people in general. But yeah, you're right. There was a lot of metal bands, but there was a lot of bands in general. A lot of people that were doing music, and we, by some kind of, I don't know, some kind of weird coincidence, actually started to hang out with Entombed. And my idea or my thought about it is that, we didn't want to get, tucked into with all the glam hair bands kind of, thing, because we were much more punk or metal or in our stuff, what we were doing. But, but Back Your Baby's the name or whatever. So, and I think the Entombed felt the same thing. They were like not that type of death metal band that, a lot of people, were into. Mm-hmm. They were much more punk or rock and roll. So we kind of found each other in that, and, kind of like, they're weird, but they're cool, So we started hanging out, and especially Nicke and Dragan became really good friends, and obviously. So, but there was a lot of places to play. Everybody went to see each other's shows, There was like these really small places around in Stockholm where actually there was live gigs, and you could have like a gig every weekend. It's really sentimental to talk about this, because it reminds me of the time. It's the same thing, I guess, happened everywhere in the whole world. There was another kind of active music scene in that way. I don't know if you lived in Stockholm.
No, not really. South Stockholm.
Yeah, I moved here in the late 90s. So
late 90s, yeah. So there was this like bars even on Drottninggatan, place called, now it's a Chinese barbecue place or whatever. There was like a place called Cityhallen, where they had cheap beer and there was a live gig. I think 2-3 times a week. We played, and there was a lot of places like that. And everybody went to see each other's shows, and hung out, because that's where everybody was.
So more or less you played in Stockholm during those period of years?
Yeah, I mean, we played a lot of shows between 94 and 96. And eventually in 96, we played one gig. We had written like most of Total 13. Mm-hmm. Or, I mean, at least half of the album, I guess. We had the songs that we actually did live, and we managed to get our manager we have these days, but he was an A&R at MVG Records, Per Kviman, to that gig. And this was also like a weird place. None of these places are actually gig places these days. It's either a gym or a restaurant or something. It's kind of, but we played a gig there in 96, and we got signed, like a bigger record company, was actually there. We already had a record deal with Mega Rock Records for the first album, for our debut album, Diesel and Power. But, we felt that we wanted to go further and bigger, so.
What was the manager's first word there after seeing the show? Best rock and roll band ever from Stockholm.
Yeah, because, talking about sucking, I remember I was so nervous, and we felt all of a sudden this gig is so important, So I did I did a Bon Scott, I did a bunch of fucking speed, and and drank a lot of booze because I was nervous, and then you felt you get too high, you get to drink, and you have to find that perfect stupid mix. So I don't know if somebody ever recorded that gig, but I think we really sucked. But there was something, I guess, in our attitude that attracted him, So he signed the band and he believed in us, and he wasn't a manager at that time, but nowadays he's our manager. We've been going since '96.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
still going strong.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with him, but
well, apparently they saw something in you guys. They wanted to invest, so yeah. It's kind of tough nowadays actually getting signed. I mean, everything is on the internet, being SoundCloud links. Hardly anyone is like going on specific shows and just looking at demo bands. It doesn't really happen anymore. Well, kind of, but...
It was more for me when I started this newspaper, Rockbladet, actually for 5 years ago. It was... The attention for me was to look for new bands, because I really liked it for all times back. And but when you realize that it's you have to work with the bigger bands to explore the newspaper.
Did you find any bands?
Yeah, it was pretty lot of them. It's actually one of your
my bands.
Yeah, Young Stars.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
So yeah, but you have to have the time.
Yeah, but I mean, for many reasons I don't go out that much these days. But also I know for a fact that there's so few places to actually play, and I really respect the places that are around in Stockholm that have unsigned and unknown bands and let them play for a fucking case of a beer or whatever, And I admire people to actually take their time, as you said, to go out and see. Not to mention any names, but I don't think that the typical A&R guy today just go randomly see a bunch of rock shows every week. I don't think so.
No.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying times are changing, and I'm not saying that everything was better before, but I believe there was something more, there's something happening when you go see a live show, even if there's a young unsigned band who suck, but you can actually, like we were getting signed by pure attitude. We're all fucked up on drugs. I mean, that would never happen today. But maybe we are missing out on something today because of that. You get a fucking Spotify link or something.
Sure.
Yeah. How can you possibly feel the attitude?
It's not the same.
No, it's
from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so. Just saying.
Throw the mailbox away and go out and look for the shows instead, because
pretty much so, yeah.
Yeah, the mailbox is totally full of every new music, and as you say, you can't really get the feeling.
The good thing though is I think I get a feeling that there's a lot of festivals who actually are having smaller stages and demo stages or
local
whatever.
Towers,
yeah, for sure. And I think hopefully important people or journalists are at the festivals and take time to actually go see. I think it's easier when you're at a festival already and stuff like that. It's like.
So I think that maybe if it's a great A&R, they maybe go to the festival because you can see a whole lot more bands. Yeah. But if someone asks me how to do, how I will make the decision that I will write something about, and I say, send me a YouTube link when you have recorded the show. If I can't get to the city when you're playing, it's more better doing that way, because I can get some more feeling and see what's.
Yeah.
What's all about.
That's true. Yeah.
I was thinking about saying you're at the first show, you were like kind of nervous and everything. Mm-hmm. Comparing that to the first festival you did after you got signed and everything, you remember? Was it overseas or was it in Sweden? Or?
Do you know which one it is? No, I
don't. I'm just asking you. So
I thought you looked like you knew something I was going to say. Well, at the first festival we did, that actually was our kind of breakthrough festival. Yeah. This was already in '91. It was the Hultsfred Festival, of course. Nässjö is not that far away from Hultsfred, so everybody knew about that festival, and we were like sending hundreds of letters, millions of phone calls to finally get that gig, and we get a gig there in '91 at the smallest stage, of course, then. And we brought like everything except for any guitar tech or anything like that. We even brought a makeup girl, because we were glam rock,
Oh yeah.
We played a gig there. There was like 400 people, so packed. The guy even broke his arm in the what do you call the fence, Yeah. And after that, people started talking about the Backyard Babies. That's what our breakthrough gig in a way. And we were celebrating with the Almighty, Nicke Borg, and his band was playing there. And then we met Vanessa Warwick, and we met Dave Stewart from Eurythmics. Yeah. We were like having the time of our lives at a festival with real big artists, and we made a fucking really.
It was a great backstage area.
Yeah, I mean, I love that backstage area. Sometimes I think the best memories you have from doing festivals is the backstage areas. You can you had a good gig, or it was a good stage or a good crowd. Fine, one thing, but was the backstage good? Yeah. That's how you make the grades for a festival.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a gathering situation, but all the music business or just
unfortunately that's also where all the A&Rs were under the
back in old days there were only like a few festivals compared to now it's like a couple of hundreds, but Hösse was like the biggest one, so everybody naturally was there.
But I mean that was our kind of our hometown big festival. It was really hard to get a gig there. Once we got a gig there, it felt like we got a lot more gigs because of that, and people started writing about us, and, even we had some demo reviews and stuff and obviously later on that led to a record company deal.
So it helped basically just nagging a whole
well, that's what I mean. I think that's I really like Sweden Rock Festival has a lot of like unknown bands playing during daytime, and I mean if there's like 30,000 people there, just say 10% is watching that gig. That's still a lot of people, So I think that's a really good thing. Festivals should keep up that.
So overseas then, if we come to that, I mean the first tour, did you do it first headline tour, or did you go out with someone else? Or?
Well, I don't know if we could call it a headline tour. Yeah, it was a headline tour. It was us in a van, and we went to Germany. I think after that Hultsfred Festival, there was this. We got contacted by a German booking agency, and she wanted us to come to play Hamburg and Berlin, and we were like, "Fuck yeah, we're gonna make it!" We're going outside Sweden. We already been to Finland, and we went down in a little like minivan and played Hamburg and played Berlin, and we already had our eyes on Sunset Strip and London, and all that, but getting to Reeperbahn, it was close enough, Those the neon lights and the strippers and all the crazy bars open 24/7, So we felt that Germany is great to play rock and roll, and this was like 92 maybe, 91, 92. It's really early as well, before we had a record deal, So,
before internet, before anything, getting people going to shows.
I mean, I don't even know these days how we actually found the gig place, Driving up and down Reeperbahn looking for a place, like a little shitty bar, our gig. We thought it was kind of like on the Reeperbahn, but it was like not really on the Reeperbahn. Like, oh, you mean that place? It's like there was these she-males who lived under the gig, place, who worked like hookers or whatever, in Hamburg, and we also got to stay there under the venue, because we didn't have any hotel rooms and stuff, and there was this, you have to put a coin in the shower thing to get warm water, and I remember our drummer Peter was having a shower after the gig, and it was this big she-male throwing up the curtains from the shower like, "Oh, get out, you're done now," and I was like, "Ah!" This fucking guys from Nässjö, never seen anything like that, But we were kind of like, we were adapting pretty fast to the Hamburg lifestyle.
How was the attendance though? Any people turn up or
at the gig?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it was a few people there,
Really?
And funny, it's always like seems to be a lot of Americans living in Germany. So there was like some US guys there as well. We hung out with. We made friends during our first trip to Germany that we are still close friends with today. So that's why the cool thing is also like living on people's couches and stuff like that.
Yeah, after your first gig in Germany, what happens next?
Well, I think it happens what's been happening with this band throughout our whole career, we were, got more gigs, got a little bit more attention, got more gigs, got a little bit more attention, and we were doing that, and, signed. Our first record was out in '94 on Mega Rock Records called Diesel and Power, and it was like, we were so happy with the album, it was a perfect mix of glam rock, punk, sleaze, everything that was not popular in '94. The grunge thing just like boom, fucking Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all that, and we released a glam sleaze album, for only a few hardcore fans. But I would like to say that album is a classic one today. So obviously there was like a tough time, no gigs really to talk about. We were like trying to do that, and that came to that gig in '96 I was talking about. So we finally got signed for real. And I think the music we wrote after Diesel and Power turned out to be much, much, much more punk rock because we were so angry and frustrated. And I actually talked about this the other day in an interview that. I think he mentioned that the new Teddy Bears album, Jocke Åhlund said something that every Teddy Bears album goes with, whatever they are in life or how they feel, they're not stuck in a certain genre. Yeah. Even if you would like to call Back Your Babies, you can say that Back Your Babies is a hard rock band or rock band, but our albums are always very true to what we are in life. If you listen to Total 13, which obviously was the album that came out of all that frustration in '96, every song is written like from the balls, and from the heart. It's no like, okay, how are we gonna try to make a hit single here? We didn't think like that. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it's kind of like, it's a very honest, frustrated album. And I think that, well, now I'm talking about the biggest one, but I think that Appetite for Destruction and albums like that, they were made from the same kind of, frustration. No bullshit. We wrote all the songs. These are the songs that we have. And we've been practicing these fucking songs in our rehearsal room for 2 years or even more. And we are so angry and so pissed off on everything. Sign us, God damn it, So we actually were trying to re-record some of the stuff that is on Total 13 once we got signed because it was too distorted and too whatever we're going, but we couldn't do it. It sounded like shit, It was that version or nothing, So,
2 years, that's a kind of long time for just nailing the songs. Pretty
yeah,
impressive.
but they kind of lived with us, and I think that I don't know the history that well of Appetite for Destruction, but I'm pretty sure that some of the songs the band had been writing and playing for many, many, many years before they ended up on Appetite for Destruction. Yeah. And so is Nevermind with Nirvana and all these like super big albums, Now people think that I'm a fucking idiot because I compare Total 13 with Appetite for Destruction, but I'm just saying that the feeling of a band that's been struggling and actually are making something under a longer period, and it's made out of more frustration than anything else, And after that, we were going totally fucking Def Leppard, We were like, okay, let's spend 4 million kroners and go to England on a big castle, and record Making Enemies is Good. And we did. It costed a fucking fortune, and we mixed it and re-recorded it maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 times, different producers, whatever, and some weeks we just played golf, actually.
Wow.
Didn't do a single thing for maybe a week or something at some point, but
those were the days.
Yeah, those were. And this is kind of sometimes you have to be careful when you talk about these stuff today, because you're in another kind of position. But I'm honestly so happy that my band got to experience that kind of thing that you will always write books about, that will always be documentaries about the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Because honestly, this is really sad thing to say. I don't think it's ever going to be like that again. No. Which maybe is good in one way, but the totally the excitement,
the idea,
exotic thing about rock and roll is long gone.
Yeah.
So so we were. I think that in the back of our head we had we had this guy saying like, guys, you can't really afford this, you know, this is really stupid what you're doing right now. But I mean, fuck that, let's do it like till they tell us stop. And nobody told us to stop until like, you know, much later, in 2005, 6 or something, when the banks were calling and everything was like falling down, you know. And okay, you got a lot of debts here, and you know, your manager is sick in hospital, and now it's time for you to pay back. And like, fuck. We had a lot of fun, at least.
Yeah, but you had a fun decade.
Yeah.
Almost.
So I mean, these days I love to talk about it, and also I mean, I'm not saying that that's the only way of doing it. There's a lot of don't get me wrong. There's a lot of super great bands, artists, talents today. They're doing it in another way, and maybe they can out party me or whatever, like I was. But you know, it was something decadent with that era.
Yeah,
that we were like trying to squeeze the last thing out of it before, because I think that we kind of knew that this is not gonna last forever, and it's gonna come to an end. You know, and the record company, the business and everything was just like slowly, you know, getting a grip on what the fuck have we been doing for 20 years or whatever, you know.
You play golf outside our castle. That's kind of impressive. I've never done that.
Yeah, there's picture of us actually, you know. There was something, I mean, I can go as deep as you want in the stories, but there's we are at this the Milton Keynes great Linford Manors is the studio. I mean, Sting recorded there, you know, whatever, Genesis and stuff like that. It was a huge studio with their own kitchen and chefs and everything, you know. And we had this big drum room, and our producer Thomas Skogsberg, who produced Total 13, right? He never been outside Kungsholmen. We took him to fucking England, and he had his Löfbergs Lila coffee.
Oh, coffee,
yeah, sent to England because he couldn't drink the UK coffee. So and he was like, we had this huge drum room that, you know, Jason Bonham would die for or whatever, you know. And he was like, it's too big, and we were shrinking it with, like, you know, what do you have in studio, this different walls and stuff, and it was shrinking it, and eventually it was kind of smaller than the drum room at Sunlight Studio he has at Kungsholmen, and Peter, our drummer, was like sitting almost sort of bent over to be able to play drum. He didn't use like, and by when they did that, it took like I think it took a few days to actually build that room, you know. So we were out playing golf. There was a golf course, you know, while they were building that drum room. So while they were shrinking the big hall to the smaller drum room that sounded like worse than the Sunlight Studios drum room, which sounds great, you know. So.
But obviously you were happy with the recording because it turned out great in the end, right?
Yeah, I mean, and we I think we were there for maybe a month or two, and then we flew back and started to re-record a lot of stuff, and we finished the album at Götgatsbacken in that studio. I can't remember what it's called these days, but yeah, maybe a year later, you know. We did a few American tours as well. In between, yeah, while we were in the studio, you know. It was a really great idea, not.
Is that why it took a full year to...
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. But I mean, yeah, as you say, it also turned out to be like some kind of classic album that album couldn't have been made in another way. There was some weird, long, epic songs on it, you know. It's like... I'm not going to draw too many comparisons with other bands, but I think that a real rock band goes through this type of, you know, development in a career, you know.
Pretty big milestone.
And then get our senses together and made you know, Stockholm Syndrome, you know, maybe our, you know, one of our best albums to date, you know.
That's kind of like the breakthrough album, right? In some way.
And then you know, the anger from Total 13 has like settled, and the big heads from you know the drugs were kind of down again, the normal level from you know, Make It Enemies Good, and they were actually focusing on songwriting and playing and singing, you know. And we had Joe Barresi, the American producer, flying over to Stockholm to actually, you know, taught us how to fucking record a record, you know. He was really good, made me sing like, you know, you're supposed to do in the studio, and made Dragan play a lot better than he ever done, you know. So I think that's why Stockholm Syndrome sounds as good as it does, you know.
Rock Dudes!
I mean, you've always seen yourselves like a touring band.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's what you could tell regarding Back Your Babes. You're always on tour. Nowadays, though, reunion and
Never on
everything.
tour.
No, I wasn't saying that. But what are you thinking about for the time being? I mean, are you going to tour extensively than before?
Well, that's an interesting, thing to talk about, because in one way, I didn't think that I was going to say this after the last tour we did in 2010, but I really, really enjoyed touring again last summer, the festivals, of course, but also the European dates we did. We did a compact 3-week club tour in November, which was like packed, sold out, awesome. We didn't play too big venues, and we didn't do too many dates. We just did perfect. We had the energy to play. We played almost every day, but it was really, really good. We had great support bands, Young Stars and Heavy Tiger. Mm-hmm. Share the Bus. It was super cool, And we're dying to start the Scandinavian dates right now. But when it comes to the endless touring that we were doing for many years, you just tour, and you don't know if you're making any money, or if have you been there, was that is, you can't even do that today. And a lot of band feels that they are forced to do it because there's no other way to actually make a living. But there's a problem with that. I mean, eventually when you're going on your second round, you can't make the same money, and there's too many bands out playing, and the agents and stuff are taking down the prices, and the clubs, no, you were here last week, So, I mean, it's good and bad. It's kind of hard. I think that I'm lucky to be in a band that we can actually try to, choose our routing. But no, Back Your Babies would never go out and do that intense, crazy touring all year round thing again, because, there's no business in it. And these days we have to think about the business side. Actually, I on one of our first meetings we had when we were getting the band back together, and and I said that there's 3 things that we got to be honest. It's it's got to be, we got to make money, because otherwise we can't do it. Because we all got families and houses. I mean, we have a life that has to roll. And it's got to be fun, fun to do it. You can't fake, in front of the crowd when you're 43 years old. You got to actually think it's really fun for real, and it's got to be creative. You got to think that you're doing good stuff. You got to feel that your creative side is actually getting something out of it. You take one of these things away, the reunion or whatever you want to call it, it's not going to happen. Knock on wood, we have all 3 elements right now there, but I'm not saying it's going to be there if we just kick back, on the couch or something. You have to work. But what I'm saying is that you can't just tour, mm-hmm. You can't just make records. It's a puzzle that I just get tired by talking about it.
Was that why it led up to the breakup from the beginning? Because of extensive touring, or?
Yeah, there was many reasons that actually led up to that. But one thing was, of course, that we've been constantly on the road, and for me personally, I was really sick and tired of the touring, and I also decided that my lifestyle was a complete disaster with the drugs and the alcohol, and I need to change that around, and I don't think I want to do that. Continuing touring, even though I did tour for 1.5 years, my mm-hmm. first sober year. But I met my wife, and I never felt stronger than I did then, that I need to write and do other stuff. But my first thing was actually to get away from the music scene completely. Mm. I'm going to take a step off the stage, work behind the stage, or do whatever. But that lasted for 3 months, and then I was having a gig at the Peace and Love Festival without any songs, so with my solo project that I just named. So
how was it for the rest of the band? Was it the same?
No, I mean, they were, to be honest, everything from complete dicks, really angry, frustrated, scared, I guess, You're taking away something that has been our life for 25 plus years, whatever. That we made a living out of, and without no parachute or anything. I just said, we gonna take a break.
Yeah.
And no, yes. we are going to take a break. This is the last tour we're doing. Oh, okay, we start next year again then. No, I don't know when we're going to start again. I have no idea. We're doing this tour and then it's fucking goodbye. Don't call me. I don't call you either, you know. And yeah, we did, you know.
So internally it was never a split off or whatever. It's more like a pause for the time being.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I did an interview about it that I was really honest, you know. That I said that this is a break from a band that's been doing the same fucking thing for so many years, and we managed to actually get to some places where we wanted to go, but maybe we wanted to have gone to other places as well. But time has, you know, come to, you know, I need to do this, you know, because I was also really, you know, it's easy for me to say today, but I was really concerned that the heritage of a lot of the Backyard Babies, the name, the brand, everything that we made, that we put our fucking blood, sweat, everything into, would not just like fade away and die. If we would have continued to play, being really pissed off and make a shit album, make another shit album, and people are starting dropping from our shows, you know, that would be a disaster. That would be a really, you know, tragic way to end the band. So let's do this. Let's take this break. It's really a lot of, you know, gambling. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if fans are going to accept it and still wait or be there if you come back. But I was totally willing to take the chance. It was the only, you know, option for me, you know.
For your sanity as well, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and looking back at it, it was a genius move, you know. I mean, even Dragan confessed it. He can't say it to my face, but he confessed it when he did a sommarprat in P1. Yeah, I have to thank Nicke, you know, because it was a good move. Even though I didn't think so in the beginning, but it was a smart move to take a break.
It's good.
Because, I mean, he got to do a lot of his, you know, his whole ego could, you know,
all the commercials
go full on in a autobiography, and his album that he made, you know, he got to like do all that stuff and, you know, form a family and shit, you know. So yeah, I mean, hey, I'm not a saint, but I think it was actually a good idea. And I mean, in any occupation, you have like you've been working and doing the same, especially if you have something that makes you travel around the world all the time. If you do that for maybe 25 years or whatever, I think it's healthy to actually take a break and look upon it from the outside, you know, do some kind of like, okay, what's good, what's bad, what did we do wrong, what, you know, all that stuff, you know. And by doing my solo thing to explore a whole different kind of thing in the music scene, I started to understand stuff that we did wrong with Backyard Babies, that we did right with Backyard Babies, you know, and I was kind of gathering information again, and you know that as well as me, that how the music industry changed over the last 5 years. It's completely different, and we still don't know where it's going to end, you know. It's so coming back with this reunion thing, I'm a lot more experienced by just, you know, doing some solo stuff and doing stuff on my own and working with other people, and also working, as you said, on the other side as well, as a radio host and you know. How
did that come about though? We got a radio, because it's not just
I was broke and Mattias Arvidsson called me. No, actually, you had Mattias Arvidsson here. No, he listened to this podcast.
No, it's been in. It's actually been interviewed a couple times back, and we're talking about.
So I think in one way I owe him forever for actually dragging me into radio. I've always been very, very interested in the format of radio, because I like the kind of, you know, romantic, you know, you sit there in the dark, you don't know how many people are listening, and I don't like TV because there's a camera, and you know, this obviously it's like radio is cool. You can sit like your knees up and you talk, and you know, so. Every time I went to a radio station, I got interviewed, I always really, you know, liked to talk, sit there, like, they're like, we're done with the interview. Yeah, but I have more stuff to talk about if you want to, you know, because I kind of like enjoyed it. Yeah. And Håkan Persson at Sveriges Radio and Per Fontander was my two, like, you know, role models when it comes to radio, you know. Rockbox in the 80s, of course, and then, you know, Peter Rock, Håkan Persson. So Mattias Arvidsson, I knew him a little bit from being at Bandit, being interviewed, and he called me up for a meeting, and it's like, if I want to do my own show. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I have no idea really. I said yes before even thinking, of course. But then like, but what should we do? Never mind. Let's just do it. Let's try. And this was also a really weird time because I knew that I was going to do Melodifestivalen.
Oh, really?
Swedish Schlager Festival.
Yeah.
I knew that, and then I couldn't tell. And he wanted me to get a job as a radio host on a metal radio station.
Yeah.
So the biggest
So I was like, okay, this is me. I want everything. I'm not gonna say no to anything. I want everything. It can be done. So once I could tell people, I told him, okay, I cannot start in February as you want me to. You know, this was like in 2011. I can start in April or something, because then the Schlager Festival would be over, right?
Yeah.
Whatever happened with me.
Did you figure it out though beforehand?
Yeah, no, I said, let me come back to you with that. He said, I was like, fuck.
Like 3 months.
No, because he's gonna go to his whatever. So I was like, okay, we want Nicke Borg, from Back Your Babies. We want him to have a radio show. Everyone was like, yeah, cool. What's the cat? Yeah, but he also doing Melodifestivalen right now. And what people think about Melodifestivalen and who listen to Bandit radio. He came back to me. He's like, let's do it.
That's cool.
This is a way for Bandit like to be a better, bigger station. To show some with whatever.
What kind of show did you?
Well, I only did a week show. I did every week. I had a show on Thursdays, pretty late, where I actually made the whole playlist and had some stories about bands. But I started a thing there, which I then took to my home these days. I've been at Rockklassiker.
Yeah.
They're enemies.
Competition.
yeah, for 2 years now. Which is like the first 3 years at band, it was great, But I had Peter Kjellin, who was my kind of co-pilot there. He did everything, I just basically talked. So I didn't really learn the thing behind radio. I learned how to host, which is, sometimes it's trickier than you think, It was not live. It was all like voice tracked, of course. But I took all that experience. I told Matthias, thank you for everything. But under certain circumstances, I cannot continue at MTG Radio, And they're like, oh, okay, you got a job. He figured it out, He's smart. And he was like, wished me luck. Because Bandit was facing a lot of,
changes.
Whatever. Yeah, so I couldn't, maybe I could have continued to work there, or maybe not, but it doesn't matter. It was such a great career move for me to move to Rockklassiker. I got a 5 days a week show to do. And I got another position, I was actually becoming one of the, team, the hosts there. But I took some stuff there with me. I have a very cool thing that is going really, really good, that I play unsigned and unknown bands, which is also taking it back to how Back Your Baby started, I remember when we sent our demo cassettes to radio stations and stuff, and when you finally knew that you were played on a German radio station somewhere, or P3, Swedish radio had picked up and played a song on some night shift no one listened to. Like, it's a big thing, and it's some kind of like quality, stamp that once you get to be played on the radio, it's a little bit more for real.
Yeah.
Even if you build it up yourself, whatever, it's I really like that. I like the feeling that you get some approval from someone that people are listening to, and so I take my job very seriously as a radio host, and I take that the Wednesdays very serious, on Rockklassiker, where I played on signed and unknown bands, and I get a lot of mails and stuff from bands, and I gotta say, every week when I work on that, it surprises me how good the quality is.
Would you say that it's kind of like giving something back during all these years?
Yeah, I think so. When we started to talk about that, people don't go see live shows anymore. That the whole thing has changed a lot these days. How you actually get signed and how you promote. I don't know how many people are actually listening and remembering that band that I played, but it's enough people to make a difference, And you never know. 1, 2, 3, that's like, was someone, Guns N' Roses was, there was this guy walked into the record store when the local record store guy had a cassette of, Gino Lies, what is it called, the first, Reckless Life and these songs, I think he played him in his record store because he liked that local band, Some fucking dude when he was in Tom Suda walked in there and like, what the fuck is this? So you never know.
Yeah.
There's this really bored A&R guy, had a fight with his wife, put on Rockklassiker, driving home, you know, and there's my show, and there's that demo band, got to play, and he's like, what the fuck is this? He cranks it up because he's in the mood, and he's like, remember a name, and he calls him up, blah, blah. You never know.
Yeah. Have you heard any
Sunshine Story?
You're doing the A&R's job.
You're doing the kind of A&R, I think, like a modern A&R. But I was thinking, have you heard any success stories of bands that you've been playing unsigned, and then it has happened something based on that?
Not really that I know about like that, but what's cool these days is that I mean, in general, a lot of the younger bands are really fly on their social media, you know, platforms and stuff. So they're using that quality thing of getting played on Rockklassiker and promoted in their own social media stuff. So so that they have a thing to build something around, and I'm pretty sure that there's a bunch of, you know, bands who got more gigs because of that.
Or building the scene stronger. I mean, based on luck. If they can do it,
I'm trying. If I remember, if I save the email addresses and the conversations, I usually forward mails that I get from listeners, like, you played something last Wednesday, some unsigned band that were like what was the name, you know? And I'm like, okay, they were like and then I send that mail to the bands if I still have the mail, so they know that they actually got feedback from listeners. You know?
And that's a good thing, because nowadays it's pretty much the radio business is talking about a big change because of Spotify and other things. You're pretty new in the radio business, but do you feel that it's talking a lot of doing new things to still be in that position that radio
Ironically, I happen to be on... well, that's not ironic, but ironically, I was going to say that radio is going really, really well. And I happen to be on a station which is going really, really well. All our stations at Bauer Media is going really well. I don't know, you know, this is good quality, of course, you know, and we focus on music and we have really great hosts. But I think that it's the same thing, you know. I mean, I try to understand how the music, you know, I use that when it comes to my own band or as a radio host or my solo project, whatever. I try to understand how and why the listeners are doing certain things, you know, and how they, you know, consume music. And I think that in general, I call it, this is really the gray zone, you know. It's about 70% are in the gray zone. They don't actively like look for music, or like you or like us. I can swear you guys were like looking for records, you know,
for sure.
Found out stuff, heard about stuff, went to your local record store or whatever and heard something on radio. You tuned into some radio abroad or whatever, and you know, you were actively looking for music, you know. But 70% is not doing that. They want to like just get served. Like that's why Melodifestivalen is so huge.
Sure is.
When it comes to Spotify, which is an amazing tool for listening to music, consuming music, and you know, getting some new music, finding stuff, whatever. But you have to actively, you know, look there and search and be part of playlist and and share and stuff, like, you know. You can't just open Spotify and play me what I like.
Yeah, because...
No. Yeah, we can be in some kind of radio stations there, whatever. But if you put on Rockklassiker, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get classic rock songs. And you're going to get great, funny hosts. And you're going to get, like, stories around, you know what you're going to get. And a lot of people like to get music served like that.
Yeah.
And if you have great content, and if for my shows, for example, it's a bit more spice songs, you know, and a little bit different stuff that they're not like the average thing on the daytime. We have other things to look at as well. It's something that people appreciate, you know.
Especially if it's like your show, it's 100% your thing
to
do.
But I mean, because Rockklassiker or a radio station like Rockklassiker or even my shows are not really specifically meant for the die-hard music fans. Because they find their music and they listen to whatever they like anyway. Our, you know, my radio show or Rockklassiker is kind of for the average music lover who likes rock music, but you know, is working, driving his truck, doing whatever. He can't find his music. He wants to just have great music to listen to. Sometimes he needs to turn down the volume a bit, and sometimes he can create, you know what I mean. So by saying that, I feel very comfortable, and I'm pretty sure radio is just gonna continue to be the leading way that people are consuming music.
How do you consume it though? I mean, thinking about combining everything, radio host and then Backyard Babies. Obviously, there's going to be more shows, a festival.
Yeah. How do I make the day?
Yeah, basically go by.
How do you
Combining
find spots
everything.
in the schedule?
Free time.
Free.
I hate to admit it. You can ask my personal trainer or my therapist or my wife or anybody that I'm a sad workaholic in one way. I mean, I quit drinking and doing drugs in 2008, and all of a sudden I realized there's a lot of time released, not being completely fucked up, hangover, looking for drugs. Just you spend so much time doing that stuff, you know, whatever it was, you know. It's crazy. And most people in my position can, you know, agree with the same thing. But I have this kind of like, you know, disease that you need to fill your life with stuff, you know. So you fill it with work. And I'm comfortable with it in one way. I really like to work. I go up early, I work hard, I work late. Sometimes it gets too much, but then you need to find other stuff to kind of have the
balance, yeah.
The balance, you know. But I guess that I think life in general is very tricky, you know, when you're 40 plus, family, try to be healthy, try to do stuff, try to be successful, you know, living in a society where everything is really expensive, you know. It's kind of like sometimes you get the feeling that you just want to fuck off and you know, move to the countryside and grow your own potatoes and shit.
Or move back to Nässjö.
Yeah, no. That's not countryside. That's just depressing. No. But that's just a thought for a second, you know. As I said, I try to navigate in life in day but the best way I can, you know. And one thing that is like what makes me also do it, because I really enjoy making people happy, you know. I make people happy with Backyard Babies. I mean, I've never seen so many of our fans so happy. I mean, I've seen them sometimes with druggy eyes, but I've seen them over almost 30 years, you know. But they were so happy last year, you know, seeing us live. And that makes me super happy, makes Dragan happy. We all like, fuck, you know. And I make people happy by, you know, playing, you know, a great like radio show in the evenings, you know. I get mail from truck drivers, you know, in the middle of the night sending me like, fuck yeah, they're out there somewhere on E4 or whatever, you know, listening to, you know. I know, you know, it's kind of it's a really good feeling. And I try to be a good family father, take care, you know, my family, my wife and my bonus kid, you know, and my friends.
How do you see the future of Backyard Babies now that you're 43 plus?
Actually, I'm 43 in April, so
okay.
Don't get too excited. Yeah, that's. I think it's. In one way, it's kind of obvious what we're going to do, and in another way, it's just a big question mark. The obvious thing is that the band is not taking a pause again, like, you know, hey, we're taking a pause thing, you know. We actually had so much fun playing again, making a record, and once again, knock on wood, my hope is to continue with the Backyard Babies till they have to roll us off stage, whatever. Because I also think that we can grow with our music, you know. We can actually play rock and roll music very, very long, you know, with this band, you know. And I think that everyone in the band has the same kind of, you know, deep inside the same kind of feeling about the band. The big question mark is that the business is completely fucked up, you know. It's so hard for a bigger small band like we are, you know. We kind of like, we're not a bigger band. We're like a small band, but we're like a big small band. We can make a living for 1 or 2 years by doing it like that, and then okay, so what's next? You know, should we go back in the studio and write another album, like getting out really fast to get more new gigs? We could do that, but I'm 100% sure that we couldn't get a great tour again. Then people just seen us like 2 years ago again. Yeah. You know, it's like and squeeze out a record really, really fast. I mean, this record didn't take that much time to write and record because I wrote almost everything before. I mean, because I'm a songwriter. I'm talking about my workaholic thing.
Yeah.
You know, I spend many days every week also in the studio writing songs. You know, I had a bunch of great Backyard Baby songs that I presented to the band. So it basically was just like pick and choose, and then we rearranged and rewrote. The only actually song we wrote together was 13 or Nothing. You know, so that's not gonna happen again like that. And even if we did, I'm not sure what type of record that would be, and would that make the same interest from the journalists to actually do one more round again? And how long are you going to wait till it's time again with the new album? All these question marks are popping up that we didn't have before in our career. Before in our career, it was just like, okay, finally the record is written, finally the record is recorded, let's go on touring, get fucked up. Okay, and then we toured for 2 years, and then we were, exhausted for a half year or whatever, and then we slowly started to write again. It was another year, and then, so it was the time lap was like, it happened by itself. Mm-hmm. Now it's not like that. We are doing the last gig on the Tour by Tour. As for now, in September, this summer, and after that, it's nothing booked. And have a cancelled record company meeting. We don't know. Maybe that's. We don't really know what to do. We have a lot of ideas and a lot of emotions, feelings for what to do stuff. But as I said, all these question marks. You got to be honest before them.
Maybe you'll play in different areas you never played before, like in China or
yeah. I mean, we get a lot of offers every day from weird places around the world. But you take that fucking band and the crew and the gear and go there. And I have this my other jobs and stuff. Yeah. And you need to think about everything. There's no money in doing that. And let's say example for I really want to go to the States and do a few shows with this record or whatever, and
maybe with Guns N' Roses to a reunion tour. Who knows? That'll be a big dream, right?
Yeah. People are talking about that. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Has that come up?
No, not like actually a mail about it, but we know the guys really well, and if I was Axel, I would totally call us and say like, hey. Can you
bring us? You set up with the managers in between, because obviously you're a big Guns N' Roses
fan. Yeah, I mean,
fan,
I love that reunion thing they're doing. I mean, I've said this since day one, and I will continue to say is I love Axl Rose. Whatever he's been doing, I always stood behind him.
Even with Chinese Democracy?
Yeah,
album?
fuck yeah, it's an awesome album, and I love Slash and Duff too, But and now everybody's getting like, oh, it's okay, but where were you? I mean, I've always been behind Axl. Because if he's been actually carrying on the Guns N' Roses fight, whatever. That's another story. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about that because if we got offered to do like a world tour.
Or even European tour for
whatever, you need to, put all this other stuff into that, calculations, how the fuck is that going to happen?
So that's like kind of like a dream anyways, even though it's like financial...
Yeah, but I would love to play with Guns N' Roses, but let's say America, for an example, I know for sure, because we've been there so many times, we tried to actually get a bit of success in the early 2000. And you need to go there, and you need to come back, and if you get a little success, you need to follow that up again. We're talking about a time period of maybe 3 years to get some kind of recognition, and then start to work, and then you need to have a new album out, and I know how they work, the record companies. My best story is, remember a band called Rocket from the Crypt? Mm-hmm. They were signed on Interscope, they had a little success, they were here playing in Sweden, everybody loved that band, and... the record companies came back. Yeah, okay, so it's time for you to make a new record. Let's really they want to push these guys, right? And they came back to record company with maybe 25, 30 songs for a new record. Record company's like, awesome. Write about 50 more, and we have another meeting in a couple of weeks. Okay, cool. See you guys. What? Write about 50 more, and we have another meeting in a couple of weeks.
Good luck.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say with that is that to actually focus on the stage and to try to get some success being in the where we are in our lives right now, it would be a period of time that doesn't exist. You'd be fucking 50.
Yeah.
Even if, and that is not even sure something's going to happen, you never know, We're not that type of band. So I would say that the future, once again, going back to the future, would be to do smart moves, you know, to have some big, great plans going on during the summer, what to do with the next 1 or 2 years. Keep in the back your baby's spirit alive, whether it's going to be more gigs or new songs or whatever kind of support tour, you know, it's going to happen. But in one way, it's kind of cool that it's an open, you know, book. You don't really know, you know. It's like not.
And also, you don't have the stress anymore.
No, it's not. The pages are not written. On the other hand, it's kind of stressful, you know.
In some ways, yeah.
Because you don't know. And once again, the business is changing so much. So by the end of next year, maybe Spotify is gone. Maybe you don't even know. No. Everything is happening so fast. You know, I got my first bill from Apple Music. I'm like, 3 months? It's already been 3 months free period.
And you can't really get rid of it because it's like renewal.
You listen to it?
Yeah,
subscription.
I listen to the new Taylor Swift album.
There you go.
Yeah. She's not on Spotify, as we all know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So, but as you probably can, you know, tell, I'm very positive and I'm very happy, you know, and I'm just happy to be able, and I'm lucky and really grateful to be able to do what I do, you know, and have so much stuff going on at the same time, you know. So
future looks bright.
There's this big, you know, I guess so much songs written as well that I want to start working with, you know, with other artists and with my solo project as well. So my only enemy these days is time.
Now it's time for Rock Dudes 21's Music Top List. In the Music Top List we represent 15 songs divided into 1/3 each. Our guest Nicke Borg will start with his 5 songs and then me and Ömer will tell our 5 tunes. The Music Top List will be published on our Spotify profile and homepage rockdudes.se. Okay, now it's time for Rock Dudes 21's Music Top List, and we start with Nicke Borg. Which song do you want to start with?
Well, I picked Jailhouse Rock with The King, obviously. Elvis Presley is my dad. He kind of forced me to listen to pop rock music. Elvis, one of them, because he was in a band himself, and I think that you know, he felt that it was important for me to dig into the right stuff. He succeeded to start with, and then he failed. I'm going to come to that for a few years, but then he was right again. Yeah. So I mean, Elvis has always been, you know, since my early age, you know, and I love that song Jailhouse Rock. You know, I think it's in many ways you can look at Elvis today, and if you are wondering if you're doing something right or wrong, you know, I mean, he's the ultimate performer. He's badass.
Yeah.
There's only been one. It's always going to be just one.
That was a real classic, Elvis with Jailhouse Rock. And what's the next one?
Talked about before that my dad got me into, I mean, he built my first guitar and he taught me to listen to, you know, the Beatles and Stones and, you know, stuff like that. But once I started to, you know, buy my own records, I think that he did something wrong, because my first record I bought was Duran Duran.
Oh.
But, you know, no, don't get too excited. It's I picked a song called "Is There Something I Should Know" from Seven and the Ragged Tiger. It's from '83. Duran Duran. I listened to Duran Duran for a few years, and listening back to them today, I kind of understand why I like them, because they have very interesting songwriting skills. You know, really catchy, not typical pop songs. You know, and they were a band. There's got to be a reason why Steve Jones from Pistols and Duff McKagan and you know, Matt Sorum and these guys play with John Taylor still today. You know,
yeah.
So yeah, he's a badass, I guess. You know, no. So Duran Duran is a pretty cool band, I think. You know, and I listened to them a lot for a few years. So "Is There Something I Should Know" is a cool song.
And the song number 3.
Yes. Well, after I was in my pop thing listening to Duran Duran, and I had a schoolmate who had his whole bunch, you know, posters with Iron Maiden and Motley Crue and everything, and something exploded in my head, and I became a hard rocker. Just like that.
Yeah. That's fast.
And I was into all these metal bands like Iron Maiden, you know. I listened to Motley Crue a lot, but there was like in 1987, I heard Welcome to the Jungle on the radio for the first time, and this magical year of '87 when Appetite for Destruction was released. Guns N' Roses came out of LA. They were everything that I was kind of like looking for. You know, they were a mix of everything. You know, punk, metal, rock, glam. You know, and some became the sleaze legends. And of course, they had the great songs, and they were totally crazy dangerous and everything. Looked amazing. Yeah. And Paradise City was like it became the soundtrack of my life for a while.
Okay, number 4.
Yeah, we were in the studio recording our first album, Diesel and Power, and I had a punk rock friend from Linköping who told me in his Linköping accent, "Well, Nicke, you sound a lot like Mike Ness, Social Distortion." I was like, "Mike who? Social who? Social Distortion. Yeah, I've seen that on Duff McKagan's bass. You know, there's something. I thought it was a skateboard brand or something."
Okay.
No, it's a punk band from Orange County. Okay, and then another band became the soundtrack of my life, and the Social Distortion all of a sudden changed around everything. You know, I listened to Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell over and over again, and I couldn't understand why he thought that I sounded like Mike Ness on Diesel and Power, because we were like a glam sleaze band. Not until maybe years and years later. We toured with Social Distortion. We became friends with Social Distortion, and especially Mike Ness. And he was such a big inspiration for me when it comes down to living sober. I called him and his wife in a desperate call from Sweden. You know, "Hey, I want to quit drugs. I want to quit alcohol. What the fuck, man? How did you do?" And he was super calm. You know. Well, you know, you got to do it like in the right order. You know, first you quit the drugs, and then you marry the love of your life, because I met my wife, and then you continue to play rock and roll. Like, okay, is it just like that? And he's like, yeah. No, so and years later, he's like super happy that I'm clean and doing my Backyard Babies, and he's doing his stuff, you know. So music-wise, yeah, one thing, but in life in general, Mike Ness has been a very important person for me, you know. So and this is one of my favorite songs that I covered on my album Chapter 2, Bad Luck.
Okay, your list comes to an end, and what's number 5?
Number 5 is a guy called Shooter Jennings. He is the son of Waylon Jennings, country legend, and Jesse Coulter. I had a friend who was in my touring company, a crew member, we were sitting up. I was completely, you know, wasted, and it's like didn't feel good at all. He's like, "You got to listen to some really cool country stuff that I have." This was on a tour bus somewhere in the world, and he played Shooter Jennings for me, and I was like, "Wow, cool." So I was listening a lot to Shooter Jennings during just like the year before I got sober, and over the year, my first sober year. So he became like both an inspiration when it comes to songwriting and doing that kind of mixing country and rock. Because he's like he loves hard rock, but he's the son of Waylon Jennings. So obviously he needs to take his country further. And the cool story about Shooter Jennings, he became almost like I was like, wow, I love Shooter Jennings. I was listening to him all the time. And he had a gig booked in Gothenburg a few years ago. And I was like, yeah, me and my friend, that friend that introduced me to Shooter Jennings in the first place, we took the train down to Gothenburg. And I was like, wow, he came there with just his acoustic guitar, did an all-acoustic gig at Pusterviksteatern in Gothenburg. Like, fucking played 2 hours. And I was like, well, yeah, cool. And I got to meet him afterwards, and he was like super cool. And I was like, well, wow, yeah, I saw your gig at the Troubadour in LA a few years back. I'm like, okay, cool. So my new like favorite artist of all time, maybe almost like he went to see the Backyard Babies years back, you know. So we kind of bonded, you know, and I love that type of thing that he's doing, that he's like country, but he's rock, and he's doing whatever he wants to go against, you know, the mainstream thing, you know. So this is one of my absolute favorite songs with Shooter Jennings. It's called 4th of July.
Now it's time for Ömer to present his top 5 list. This time we have split into 2 kinds of topics. So which one have you taken?
Well, my top 5 for today is kind of like classic rock song, because our interview guy today was Nicke Borg, and obviously his influence was rock music, which led to Back Your Baby. So I figured that I'm gonna highlight 5 classic rock songs that still works today. Well, that never dies, basically. So the first one is the Blue Oyster Cult with the song Don't Fear the Reaper from Agents of Fortune. And funny to say, I actually discovered this song on a YouTube clip back in the old days with Saturday Night Live, Will Ferrell and Christopher Walken and Jimmy Fallon doing the sketch, "We're gonna need some more cowbells." So yeah, that song kind of stuck to me, and also has been time and time again great cover songs. Especially Wolf covered the song. I kind of liked that version, but the original is like a classic in itself. So yeah, Don't Fear the Reaper.
More cowbells!
We're gonna need more cowbells.
So what's number 2?
Well, people will be surprised, but I actually picked Don't Stop Believing from the band Journey. And actually there's a documentary which is called Don't Stop Believing, Every Man's Journey. And people know that the band split up after Steve Perry left and everything, and the band put out a new album after that, after a couple of years hiatus, and they actually found their singer in Philippines, a guy called Arnel Pineda. So there's a documentary regarding that progress, regarding finding a new vocalist, and I actually had to go back and discover the catalog of Journey, and obviously this is like their biggest hit, Don't Stop Believing.
Don't Stop Believing, Journey. The mid song, the number 3.
It feels like the songs I pick out has some kind of connection to either clips or movies or whatever, and the third song is no exception. Actually, who can't forget the Bruce Willis movie Armageddon, where Aerosmith had their song I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. Well, they didn't sing it like that, like I did, but however, it's like a classic song, really connected to the movie and gave me the chills, kind of like ballads and stuff. So yeah, Aerosmith, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
Cool thing about this song, yesterday I just saw a YouTube clip with a guy standing in the road playing this song, and actually
in Russia, yeah, I saw it as well.
Yeah,
a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And Steve Taylor just popped by and actually sang the song with him, and people were like, "What the fuck is Steve Taylor? Oh wow!"
Well,
so that was kind of neat.
That was a moment. So number 4.
In tragic happening recently weeks, Motörhead Lemmy passed away, so I had to honor him with a song, Killed by Death.
So what's the last song?
Well, we've been talking a lot of Guns N' Roses and never seen them live, hoping to see them on this reunion tour. But the songs are like, yeah, when you were young, we were younger, rock music was in our lives. Who could have missed Guns N' Roses with the song Sweet Child of Mine from their debut album Appetite for Destruction? So yeah, it's like a no-brainer. I had to have at least one Guns N' Roses song on this top 5. So Jonas, you're kind of a patriot. You chosen 5 Swedish songs on your top 5, all rock songs.
Yeah, when I thought about this topic, I really go for Swedish hard rock heroes of my life, especially when I look through the list. It's more or less songs from the beginning of the 90s, actually, and the late 80s. So the first song actually will be Europe, and the track Rock the Night from the Final Countdown. Europe was actually the first heavy metal album I was receiving from my parents. Very odd. They haven't listening to heavy metal at all. But this one they thought I should like a lot.
And the next song is also a Swedish song, go figure, it's In Flames.
Yeah, it's since 10 years ago it had been my first experience of this kind of genre that this Gothenburg metal sound is. And the song Cloud Connected from the Reroute to Remain is one of the best songs live from my perspective, so I just picked that one of that cause. So Cloud Connected.
The next band is actually quite known band in Sweden, but outside Sweden, I don't think there's people haven't really heard them if you compare it to Pack Your Babies or whatever. But
no, I think they are a really Swedish band that have only been played in Sweden. And as Nicke was talking about Hultsfred Festival, I've been there for 19 years, and Sator was one of the first band that I occasionally looked at and watched the shows every year, because they almost played every year. And it was... Every time was a really awesome experience, and it was total of energy, and it was fun. So I have chosen the song "We Are Right and You're Wrong" from the Headquake album from '92, and this is one of the best songs, I think.
The fourth song is well, I don't know if you're going to say that there's a new metal band going on, but they were kind of early in their days.
Yeah. We're talking about Clawfinger, and they break through with this kind of new genre when they started with the rap metal thing, and it just hit me back in the 90s when I saw them again on Hultsfred, and I really remember the song "The Truth." It was really punch with this rap in the metal riffs, and its blend is really good. So I was just in the front row and just screaming "The Truth."
The final song, Double Nature.
Yeah, Double Nature with Mustache. This Swedish rock band from Gothenburg with this cool guy Raffe in the lead sing and guitar, and this song actually was the first song I heard, and it should be 10 years ago or 9 years, and I just hit it on the Bandit radio, and it's just a great fucking song, Double Nature with Mustache. Rock Dudes! Then we have come to the end of the Rock Dudes 21 and guest Nicke Borg. And I really have a good feeling about this interview. You have tell us a lot of your lifestyle and
a lot of your lies. I was going to say.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to the concerts coming up in Stockholm.
Yeah, you didn't see?
I have never seen Pack Your Babies live ever. No, actually. So
what is it that on the Slash book it says just because it sounds outrageous, it doesn't mean it's not true. Something, but this is also like everything I said, it's not true. It's even worse.
Oh, there you go.
The top of an iceberg.
We had a great time, dude.
Yeah, me too. Very much enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Rock Dudes! Thank you for listening to Rock Dudes 21, where our guest Nicke Borg did tell us all about his experiences and all the good stories from his life. The music top list that was in the end of the show will be published through our Spotify profile and homepage rockdudes.se. Don't forget to follow us on our social media network as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter. Search for Rock Dudes Podden. Don't forget to follow us on our social media network as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter. Search for Rock Dudes Podden. Please write some comments about this episode, what you're thinking about the podcast, which guest you wish to be in our future episode of Rock Dudes. We will of course thank our sponsors, Marshall Eyewear and J-Leaf IT and Media. The jingle was recorded by Jonas Hermansson, Peter Månsson and Mia Colehart. The interview was recorded by Jonas Löv and was edited by Indigo. The guests of next episode, Rock Dudes 22, is the American hard rock band Hailstorm, and that one will be published the 11th of March. Until then, rock on! Rock Dudes!